Hello everyone, welcome to Tactica Imperialis and to today's video. Today is going to be another my thoughts on, and today I want to talk about the Vigilus Open day. I realise I'm miles behind everybody else in getting this video out, but I wanted to give my thoughts nonetheless. Because the Vigilus Open day, the Vigilus Open day is a fun and interesting experience, was it not? I realise that we talked about a fair bit of this on Adeptus Podcastus, but I thought I'd give my thoughts in a more long form place where I can just go on ad nauseum about various things, because I kind of like doing that. So let's get into it, shall we? Because we've got a lot to cover, as you might have guessed. First off, I just want to quickly point out like the models and the cosplay and all the stuff that went on at the event. Like, full credit to everybody who made it, because that is something in the hobby we don't always give full credit to. So full credit to those people. And then we get into reveals. Now I'm going to go in sort of reverse chronological order, sort of down the article, because I just find that easier. So might not get all the most important stuff in the right order, but I think that's just the easiest for the video. And we'll start off with the Easter egg Genestealer Cult guy who plans to invade Warhammer world. Yep. People clocked this like as soon as it came up on the rumor engine. It was just clocked immediately by a fair few people. So it's a fun little Easter egg, and hopefully this model actually has some use. The model that I think I mentioned on the podcast comes to my mind is like Lieutenant Varus from Battle for Macragge, all the way back in 4th edition, if anybody remembers that. That was a model that you got as part of that boxed game that basically did nothing outside of the boxed game. So it was just a glorified objective marker at that point. So hopefully this guy is a bit more than a glorified objective marker. Not sure what they'll use him for in-game if it is a model, but I'd be interested to see what it is, if it is such a thing. So, fun. Then we get this. I've gone through the videos and just paused them on useful screen caps. The Noise Marine. Oh. Right. Oops. The Noise Marine. Full disclosure, I'm not a huge fan of Slaanesh, and nor am I such a huge fan of like metal, and I quite like rock and roll, but I'm not that sort of a musically inclined person. But this is amazing. I'll put the model up on the screen now. This is just utterly amazing in pretty much every conceivable way. It's very old school, of course, and new school Slaanesh players who maybe are thinking, what has this got to do with the rest of the Slaanesh raid, which we'll get to later, might not see the link between this and what we have today. But it embodies when Slaanesh was very much a bit more sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Not that there's anything wrong with how Slaanesh was. Slaanesh now is different, but you could argue it's better, you could argue it's worse, that's your opinion. But Slaanesh was very much over-the-top sex, drugs, and rock and roll sort of style. That's how I always pictured Slaanesh when it wasn't being utterly creepy. So this fits that perfectly. It's a riot of colour, and it plays into something with the Noise Marines that we don't always see with them now, in that every emotion is hyped up, every sense is amplified. Only the gaudiest of colours, the most riotous of sounds have any effect on a Noise Marine. That was their gimmick. I need to check the codexes to see if it's still the case. But this embodies that perfectly. You've got the electric guitar come bolter. You've got the frankly ridiculous colour scheme with the leopard print, the mohawk that's in like 4 different colours and looks like it's on fire. You've got the blues and the greens, and it's all over the place. But it plays into what the Noise Marines are. So if you want your Noise Marines to be the zany side of Slaanesh, as opposed to the creepy side of Slaanesh, though you could argue they're both the same thing if you do it the right way, this is the sort of model for you. And I like the fact that the weapon looks like it works. So it could quite easily have been designed so that playing the guitar, I'm playing the string, I can't play guitar by the way, playing the notes caused the gun to fire, and playing a faster rhythm caused it to fire faster, and diddly diddly dee. They didn't go for that option. Instead they've got the handle thing, which I don't know what it is, I don't play guitar, that works like the trigger mechanism, we assume. So you push that down or you pull that up, you fire the gun. And I approve of that because it means that the weapon looks like it works whilst also looking awesome. What we need to know is, are we going to get any more? We speculate like a full band roster on the podcast, and I'd be curious to see if they do any more with this, or whether this is just a standalone miniature that just sits around until it runs out of stock, and then everyone who didn't get it is sad. So we shall see, but I'm very happy with this model. It's an awesome model, and it's something that just wouldn't work in modern 40k, but still does. And then we get to the future and the really interesting and divisive stuff. It's an interesting one, this one. So first off, we have Vigilus. Vigilus itself has been basically set up as the new Armageddon. Like, everything is happening on Vigilus. So Kill Team, where the Genestealer Cults went against the Skitarii, that was on Vigilus. Tooth and Claw, where the Space Wolves went against the Genestealer Cults, that was on Vigilus. Speed Freaks, the box game that came out recently for the Orcs, that was set on Vigilus. Wake the Dead, where the Eldari, that was set on Vigilus. All of the events have now been built to make Vigilus the new world where everything just goes to hell. It's the Imperium's linchpin world. If you haven't been following the lore, Vigilus is basically the gateway to the Dark... Excuse me. Is basically the gateway to the Dark Imperium, as in, there are basically no stable routes across the Great Rift, except the one at the Narcoman Gauntlet, which is sort of behind Vigilus. So Vigilus is very, very important for the Imperium, and they're keeping it. And now they're setting up what's called the War of Beasts. Not War of the Beast, or War of the Beasts. That's too similar to the one 10,000 years ago, though I wonder if that's a deliberate nod to the War of the Beast in M32. I put this in M42, I don't blooming know. But it's on. And there's going to be some big players. Primaris Marneus Calgar. Or Marneus Calgar, as Kyrios so happily called him. Right, where do we start with this? The first hero to be reborn as a Primaris-based Marine. So we finally got confirmation outside of that Warhammer TV short that you can upgrade Marines to Primaris. However, the trailer, the By the Will of My Father trailer, which I recommend you go and watch if you haven't done so already, does imply some rather shady stuff happens. So it builds Calgar's character up, talks about holding the gates against the Orcs for a night and day, and all the other crazy plot armory stuff Calgar's done down the years. And then it talks about walking the Veil of Death and being reborn in the, what's it called? The Rubicon Primaris, I think it is. And then he's a Primaris. Right. So, is Calgar, like, undead in that he died and was then resurrected by the Rubicon, which may or may not therefore require Eldari technology? And if he didn't die, then how does the upgrade process work with getting the new gene seed in? Does it then need time to mature like other gene seed might? And if it's so simple, why is it now only just happening with Calgar? Why did nobody volunteer in the Ultramarines or any other chapter to take the upgrade sooner? So many questions. So many questions about the upgrade procedure, which need to be answered, and hopefully we'll get that. But as for the model itself, well, the model is excellent. He's got a Tyranid at his feet, which is presumably, well, that's interesting in itself because we don't know when he got the upgrade, but Macragge and Ultramar hasn't been controlled by Tyranids for like 400 or 500 years at this point-ish. But it's a very, very nice model. The backpack looks good. The Iron Halo. It's still the Gauntlets of Ultramar, one assumes, or new Gauntlets of Ultramar. If so, who's got the old ones? And of course, it's a very striking pose that looks very similar to his Artificer armor. The original Calgar mod, well, not the original, I don't know what the original one was, but the current, until this model comes out, Calgar outside of the armor of Antilochus, because that's got one fist up and one fist down as well. So very much reminds me of that. I'll be interested to see what his stats look like on the tabletop. Like, what is the stat boost that becoming a Primaris has given him? Like an extra wound, an extra couple of attacks. I don't know. Also, what's his armor save going to be? Because to my knowledge, Primaris don't have 2-up saves. I believe Gravis armor is their best, and that's a 3-up. So that technically would mean Calgar's taking an armor downgrade, which would be weird. So many questions about how he's going to work in lore and on tabletop, but the sculpt itself is excellent. Can't take anything away from the sculpt. It is excellent. And they've also resculpted his honor guard. These are snuck into the Vigilus Defiant trailer for the campaign book. And there's also obviously a bunch of images done the rounds for the open day itself. These guys look amazing. Like, low key, these guys look absolutely amazing. I love these sculpts with the big bulky, like a sort of sleek but blocky shield. They've got the sword out. It's very much a Roman soldier sort of look, because the Romans, at least what I think I remember, were quite big shield swordsmen. They weren't spears. They weren't about two-weapon infantry. It was sword, shield, helmet, maybe some robes. They were very much about that sort of thing. While this shield isn't exactly tower shields that would allow you to perform their little turtle testudo, I think it was called, it's a very good nod to the fact that the Ultramarines have some Roman lineage and reference in there. So very much approve of the Honor Guard. They look brilliant. I love the Honor Guard. And these guys will be coming as part of Vigilus Defiant, a new campaign book that basically goes completely nuts on Vigilus. I'll get to the Chaos Lord in a second, since we've got Orcs, Eldari, Genestealers, and now Chaos on that planet. So fun. But it makes some bold statements about Vigilus Defiant. Take the depth, texture, and detail of the Horus Heresy campaign books, which are amazing, by the way. Add themed armies and narrative battles inspired by classics like Codex Armageddon, which, whilst I haven't read that, is definitely regarded as a classic. Throw in an epic story that will change the face of the galaxy, and you've got this. That is putting your book on a pedestal and hoping it sticks. Because for those who don't play 30k, the red books, Heresy Book 1 through 7, we've got Book 8 coming soon. So, what are they called? Like Betrayal, Extermination, Massacre, various ones. Inferno, just on the top of my head I'm recalling these. These books are amazing because most of them is fluff. So you would get a bunch of retelling of the major battles that took place in the campaign or the period of time that book is covering, and then it would go in depth on every faction involved. So the legions, the Mechanicum, the Titans, all of them would be massively fleshed out with deep, rich, anecdotal lore that really took them from different flavors of Space Marine to real characters, real personalities. And they were amazing. Like my Legion series, once I started reading the red books, went from here to here in my own head, because I was able to read the books and just add so much more early information and anecdotal information. It was just brilliant for me as a writer to read those books. They were excellent for me. And so hopefully Vigilus Defiant lives up to that, because it's put itself on a bit of a pedestal. But I hope it works. Now, Chaos. Chaos gets this guy. What's his name? Harken World Claimer, I think it is. I like this model. It's got a lightning claw and a spear. And if you see it from side on, the jump pack has got like a huge rack of skulls over the top of it. And the jump pack goes quite far back, and he's leaping off a dead Space Marine, and yada yada yada. Yeah, brilliant. Looks very much like Chaos, and with Blackstone Fortress and this is a real good show of if they ever redo the Chaos Space Marines plastic box, what good they can do. Like we've seen it for ages, though, with the Raptors, the Chosen from Dark Vengeance. We know they can do good Chaos sculpts, and this is further indication of that. I have a minor thing. I prefer the old metal Chaos Lord with jump pack, who was sort of leaping up in the air and had twin lightning claws that were sort of down by his sides. I loved that sculpt. Like, that was one of my favourite sculpts, maybe of all time. That might be one of my favourite sculpts of all time now that I think about it. I loved that sculpt. And if it were plastic, I'd have bought the flip out of it, probably, even though I didn't play Chaos. So, it's not that good, but it is very, very good nonetheless. And he says he can take Vigilus in 80 days. Good luck. No chance. So we'll see how Vigilus Defiant is when it's out. We don't know when it'll be out yet, but it should be fascinating. Then we have Urban Conquest. Urban Conquest, which is Cities of Death meets Stronghold Assault, but with campaigns, I think. So there are a bunch of old expansions from 4th through 7th ed 40k. Cities of Death is very old. Stronghold Assault was much newer, but it's a city fighting campaign. Now, if you watch the trailer, I've just paused it at the beginning. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. So, the gimmick of Urban Conquest is build a hive city and then knock it down, as they sort of say in that little bit of blurb, which is lovely. But how are they going to do it? Because we haven't seen map tiles since Planetary Empires and Mighty Empires all the way back in 5th edition 40k and 7th ed Fantasy. We haven't seen a new tile-based system. So what they seem to have gone for is sort of a map card deck building campaign. I don't know if I get quite a Carcassonne vibe. That seems a bit daft. I wouldn't call it Carcassonne. But you seem to put cards into a binder and that builds your city. So I'm assuming you'll start from like the Hive Spire, the main Imperial Palace or whatever, and then just build the city out around it. And then that will determine the type of battles that you play when you actually go to war for this Hive City. And that's brilliant. That's utterly brilliant, because the tile-based campaigns, whilst I love tile-based campaigns, and I've actually got a tile-based campaign that I'll be making a series on for the channel coming soon-ish, I do realise that it can be a bit difficult to constantly innovate on a tile-based campaign, because you've only got so many tiles, and in order to make them link together, they have to look a certain way, and you have to repaint them, and it can get a bit constrictive after so many iterations. If this card deck is big enough that it allows for almost infinite variety, where you have your Hive Spire, but then you can have the Manufactorum next to it, or maybe a series of checkpoints linking it to the Manufactorum in the next one. You create bottlenecks in certain ways, you have big wide open squares. You do all this creation, and hopefully it will be more chop and changey and customizable than ever before, allowing for more depth of campaigns. Because I love campaigns, but they're a right pain in the arse to set up. At least I find they are. So if you're not a good campaign person or a good games master, dungeon master sort of person, this might be your sort of thing. And if you're someone who plays the Warhammer Quest games, who is quite used to dungeon crawling and doing encounters, so either Silver Tower or Blackstone Fortress, this might be good for you, where you have sort of a dungeon master who builds the city, assigns a defender to it, and says, right, here's a bunch of advantages for you, hold this city no matter the cost. And then your other guy has to throw themselves at it in sort of a crawling through this city street by street, building by building. That would be amazing, and I really hope that it does all of that. And I love the thematic imagery of city fights. When it was showing this trailer and when I read novels, I really love the imagery and the gameplay potential of building a city and fighting through it bit by bit by bit with choke points and blockades and ambushes and snipers and flaming out these sniper nets. All of that imagery of taking siege warfare and grinding it down to its core, to its gritty core, where every single decision matters. I love that. I love that style of gameplay, even if I've never been able to recreate it with the terrain I've had available to me. So, I'm so in. I just hope that it doesn't require ginormous piles of terrain to make it happen. Or if it does require ginormous piles of terrain, make it a bit cheaper so that we can actually create big detailed boards without breaking the bank. Because that's the problem with terrain, it's bloody expensive. So, it might be an expensive thing to do to play this, but I'm so in. I love the concept. Like this image actually sums it up sort of excellently. You've got this. Well, actually, no, it doesn't. No, it really doesn't actually. But you've got the guardsmen in the streets. You've got the tower upon the buildings. Imagine if the tower had encircled them and they had snipers raining down fire on either side, but the air wing in the back that's just going to come flying over and clear some of them out as the tanks come rolling up behind them. The imagery, okay? The imagery is fantastic. I just hope that the game reflects that, because that's some of the best part of 40k's narrative, to my mind. Then what have we got? Because we're still not done. Oh, we've got Genestealer Cult. Of course we do. Genestealer Cult. This thing right here is awesome. I love this thing. I don't know what it's called. I don't know how powerful it's going to be, but it looks amazing. I'm in. And then we've got the bikers, either with snipers or with the melee weapons of pistols. I can see infinite conversion possibilities for these guys. So, motorized Imperial Guard Rough Riders, scout bikers for Space Marines in sort of more rugged chapters who don't maybe have all the resources. So, Carcharodons might be a really fun one to do with this. Obviously, the Imperial Guard get more out of this. Genestealer Cults obviously can use them for, well, what they are. But I could even... Could I see an Age of Sigmar application for this? Ooh. Could I see it? Like Caradron, who sell their technology, so that like the Outrider Cavalry with its handguns or the Pistoliers, but they're on bikes because they've been teched up by the Caradron from Shaman. Maybe. And of course, Chaos loves this because Traitor Guard, this suits them down to the ground. So, Genestealer Cults, definitely think they're going to have a lot of fun, and hopefully they get their codex soon and we can see all this come together. And we're still not done because we've got Wrath and Rapture. Right. Wrath and Rapture. I've talked about this before when it was first announced back at Blood and Glory, I believe it was. And so the idea of Khorne and Slaanesh going head-to-head is great. Fits an ancient rivalry from both 40k and AOS/fantasy. Excellent. We got some really cool reveals. So Karanak is down here. I wasn't a huge fan of the Flesh Hounds that I talked about in the Blood and Glory video, so I'm kind of biased against him, but it's a cool model nonetheless. Very much fits the sort of not perfect Hellhound ideology, but very much fits with the other Flesh Hounds, so I approve. But I really want to talk about, I can't believe I'm saying this, I really want to talk about Slaanesh here. So, you can't really see it very well in this image, which is disappointing. I can't get it on a bigger screen if I want to keep on the article. But this is we assume, Slaaneshi Herald playing a harp that, if you look closely, or go and find another better image on the internet, is growing out of a dude's back. So his arms, you can sort of see, form the sort of V that the harp strings come out of, and the strings themselves come out of his back. They're like his nerves. And it's just, it is the perfect Slaaneshi model. So I was talking earlier with the Noise Marine about how Slaanesh is, or could be taken as sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Very zany, very over the top, excess, that sort of thing. But this is the other side, and I'm not the first person to say this, but it plays on the darker side of Slaanesh. And just like excess pain turned to pleasure, and the screams of this poor sod who's been turned into an instrument. It's just, And you can imagine how he got in that position. Someone actually, I saw this in a comment somewhere, that this was a master musician who wanted to create the greatest music ever for the rest of time. So he does. Except it's his own body providing the music being played by a demon. Oh, that's creepy. And it's brilliant. If they're going to bring Slaanesh back, and they're going to bring Slaanesh back with all the pomp and circumstance that many argue Slaanesh deserves, this is how you do it. You don't strip away what made Slaanesh Slaanesh. You don't, as some people might say, kidify Slaanesh, because you can't. You have to keep core Slaanesh somewhere. This darker aspect. Sure, you can have the zany stuff, like the Noise Marines. Sure, you can have things that are perhaps a little bit over-sexualized, because that's still part of the thing that comes with Slaanesh. But you can't take away the horror of Slaanesh at the same time. And this model fits that brilliantly. Combine this with models like the Seeker Chariots, where they've got these ginormous harvesters and side-spinning blades. It just... You've got all the aspects of excess and indulgence and over the top that Slaanesh has, but it's so cringeworthy in a good way, so horrifying in a good way. This is what Slaanesh needs. And if they keep pushing down this route when they return Slaanesh to Age of Sigmar, I'm in. I won't buy it because it creeps me out and I won't want to paint it, but I'm in. Then we also got the Warbringer Nemesis Titan, which is a bit bigger than a Reaver and a bit smaller than a Warlord. And it's got a Quake Cannon. I think I saw somewhere. It's a Quake Cannon, which is a weapon that is normally mounted on a Bane Blade. I think it's the Bane Sword has a Quake Cannon. Bane Sword? I think. I can't remember which one it is that has the Quake Cannon. But that's what I believe that thing is. One problem. Where's its arms? Like, it's just got, like, arms to here and then guns. Like, where's the rest of this bit? It needs more arm, I think. It just looks a bit stubby. I'm not the only person to say it. The shoulder pads are interesting. Like, it's fine, to each their own. The faceplate, also interesting. Okay, I'm going to be honest, it's not my favourite model. It's cool, and I don't mind it, but I think they missed a trick in making this an Ordinatus platform that trundles along or stomps along the floor, like a quadruped or something like that, and making it a Doom cannon like that, rather than making it just another Titan variant. Might just be me, though. I realise there's a lot of people like Titan, so fine. So yeah, there's a bit of a closer look at some stuff. It's all obviously lovingly sculpted. And then Chapter Approved. I talked about Chapter Approved before, but we get more stuff for Chapter Approved. So, a character creation system for open play where you can build your legendary heroes. Right. This is interesting. Because many characters in 40k have had their roster of stuff absolutely gutted. Let me take the Orcs, for example. You can't take a a big mech outside of Mega Armor. Why? Because there isn't a model for it. But there is a model for it, we're just not going to let you use it. Tough. There is no option for a war boss in Mega Armor except Ghazghkull. Why? Because there isn't a model for it. You don't like it? Oh, screw you. Sorry. Your war boss in Mega Armor conversion with a custom shooter Scorcher and all that other stuff. Nah, you can't have that, mate. Nah, it's going to be Ghazghkull, ain't it? Boom. Boom. However, back in open play now is the option to actually get proper character creation system. Now I hope this includes war gear options. Like, this is great for like homebrewing and creating custom characters and backstories and names and all that stuff if you're not sort of the narrative person. But this needs weapon options. This needs weapon options out the wazoo to encourage converters to go nuts. That's what this needs. I hope it has it. And Battle Honours for narrative play allows you to level up and develop skills through campaigns for your units. They're just copying Path to Glory system, probably. AOS Path to Glory is a system where you go through narrative campaigns and units can be chosen to level up. Heroes can level up, and characters can level up, and units can level up if you spend glory points, I believe. So, yeah, hopefully that's good. Developing new skills for your units or buffs, definitely very much approved. We get a slew of points changes, so apparently Grey Knights get a bunch of decreases in points, which is good because they suck. And then we get a bit more look at the Sororitas, and I love this stratagem, the Holy Trinity. Bolter, Flamer, Melter, combo, boom! So if you have a Bolter, a Flamer, and a Melter in the same weapon, then they all get +1 to wound. That's cool. That's cool. I like that a lot. I think that's very, very cool. Just suits the Sororitas down to the ground. And that's it. So I realise I've banged on for about half an hour, but that is my thoughts on the Vigilus weekend. Honestly, I didn't think we were going to get this much. This is brilliant. Like, I think this is just fantastic because it set 40k up for the new year fantastically. Because Chapter Approved is just around the corner, and so are Genestealer Cults. One assumes they're next. It says in the article they're next. So those two come out and give everybody something to do and give a new army onto the scene. Brilliant. Lots of fun stuff for 40k to do. And then with Vigilus Defiant on its heels, we assume we have new lore, new campaign setting, new models, and we can go completely ridiculous and start theory crafting where the future of 40k leads. Brilliant. We then have Urban Conquest, which allows you to go back to one of the greatest expansions of 40k, which is Cities of Death and city fighting in general. I think that's brilliant. Simplify it down to a map-based campaign system, or actually upgrade it to map-based campaign systems. I think that's excellent. 40k is at a healthy place. And with Wrath and Rapture buffing out Khorne and Slaanesh for both games, because they're demons, I think that will be good as well, just for keeping the games going and hopefully setting up Slaanesh's inevitable return to the Age of Sigmar, which is great. And hopefully we get some Realm of Chaos lore along the way. That would be nice as well. But that's just my opinion. I realise I'm late uploading this compared to everybody else, but here we are. What do you think of the Vigilus Open Day? Do you like the new developments? Do you like Marneus Calgar? Do you like the Genestealer Cult, the Chapter Approved ideas, Urban Conquest? Just let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm always interested to see what you have to say. But for now, thank you very much for watching Tactica Imperialis. This has been my thoughts on the Vigilus Open Day. I'll see you all again. Bye for now.